Bowlby.
Here.
McSpadden.
Here.
Irwin.
Here. If you would all stand with me and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Deputy Mayor McSpadden.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this city, for the things that you're doing. Pray for your blessing over those who work day in and day out to keep us going. Thank you for the citizens and just the heart and the community that we have and the recovery efforts that have taken place. Pray for your wisdom over this group of people as we make decisions to guide the city. These things we pray in Christ's name. Amen.
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 Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
None.
Do we have a motion to accept the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spellman.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. Any items unforeseen?
None.
Under current business, do we have a motion to accept the consent items as printed?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spellman.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. We have a motion to adjourn second. Call the roll.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. Call to order the Claremore Public Works Authority. Note the roll. We have a motion to accept the agenda as printed.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Bowlby.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. Any items unforeseen?
None.
Under current business, do we have a motion to accept the consent items as printed?
So moved.
Second. A motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spellman.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion to adjourn is second. Call the roll.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. Call to order the Claremore City Council meeting. Note the roll. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Spellman.
Yes.
Bowlby.
Yes.
Cotta. Yes. Long.
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. Any items unforeseen?
None.
Mayor's reports and appointments? Is that now? Or?
No.
Okay. It's good to see a crowd here. That's what I'm going to say. Awards and presentations and communications. Item number 1, electric update by Claremore Power Provider, Grand River Dam Authority.
I think Dan's hiding right there. Dan Sullivan's here with GRDA, Madam Mayor. And I believe his presentation will be up here on the screen, Dan, if you want to utilize that there.
Great. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Feldman, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you again.
Yes. Thank you all for having me tonight. It's my opportunity to provide you with some information on behalf of the Grand River Dam Authority regarding our recent increase in rates and give you a little background on GRDA and talk a little bit about our history, but also to provide you some information of where we are and what our plans are for the next several years. If you go forward, I do want to introduce a couple of people that are here with me. We have Mike Shook and Shannon Randolph from our GRDA staff that are here. They're in our customer care team, so if you have any further follow-up questions, that's why they're here. And I do have another guest with me, if you will, Mr. J.R. Waldo and his mother Tori. John Robert is a scout in Troop 153 in Tulsa, and he's working on his communications merit badge. And I told him that this meeting was happening tonight, so that's one of the requirements. So I do want to talk just a little bit about public power, GRDA, and where we are, and what the past has been, and of course what the future looks like. And starting with the past, Claremore has been a customer of the Grand River Dam Authority since 1946. Why that's important is that's when we first started taking customers with GRDA. Following the war, the dam was completed in 1940 and was under the federal government's responsibility through the war and was returned to us in 1946. So we were able to, next slide please, celebrate that in a 75-year relationship in 2021 and recognize that the city, after purchasing the Claremore Electric Light and Ice Company, began providing power in 1906 and then started this arrangement with the GRDA as its wholesale provider 40 years later to allow them to continue to grow and serve the customers that you have today. Now we're well over 75 years of service. Plus we've had several members from the Claremore community that have served on the board over the years. And we appreciate the long-term relationship with the City of Claremore and all of the opportunities that we've had over the years to work together. One of those, of course, is partnering in storm recovery. One of the best opportunities in the electric business as a whole, and it's not just public power that we're all part of, but also with investor-owned utilities, is using mutual aid to assist with storm recovery. And certainly we had that opportunity in May with the big tornado that hit. That allowed us to work with several other cities in the area: Collinsville, Cushing, Edmond, Miami, Ponca City, Pryor, Sallisaw, Skiatook, Stillwater, Tahlequah, Wagner, Coffeyville, Kansas, and Siloam Springs all assisted in that effort. And I know that having seen firsthand the devastation that happened to the city, it was a testament to everyone here and to your city of how quickly they came together and restored the power, restored the services, and are back to a much more normal level of activity. So we were very happy to help support that and be involved in those activities. And then as a community partner, we also help sponsor events like the Will Rogers Stampede, providing scholarship dollars, the July 4th Fishing Derby, which is one of my favorite activities in this community. It's great to see the kids out fishing and learning more about that. Next slide, please. Then the Christmas lake lights is also a big opportunity for us to help partner with that. And we certainly appreciate the recognition from the local Chamber of Commerce here and help every year with the Claremore Day at the Capitol, which I know is a big effort that the city undertakes to make sure that your voice is heard at the Capitol. And of course you have a great representative and senator from this area that are very involved in what's going on, so that makes your job a lot easier in having those communications. One of the other activities that we are engaged in communities is installing solar farms kind of behind the meter to help us offset some of the costs associated with additional capacity, but also provide renewable resources that are local to the community. And we're in the process now of finalizing the plans for a 15-megawatt solar farm here in Claremore that will be something that you can see and not necessarily touch, but see in your community as a source of some of the power that Claremore uses. We anticipate that will be finished and operational by the end of December of 2026. Go ahead. So in our rate objectives, one of the things that we look at, the Grand River Dam Authority, just like the Claremore Public Works, is a not-for-profit organization. So we pay for our bills and then set aside funds for capital needs and other operating expenses to plan for the future. And to do that, we go through what's called a cost of service study. Our 2024 budget and 5-year forecast includes $475 million in additional debt necessary to fund new electric generation. We just completed that and closed that on July 10th to finalize the bond package necessary to build this new unit that I'll talk about in a moment. But also, there's the potential loss of revenue from a departure of an off-system customer. Off-system is someone that's not a full requirements customer like the city of Claremore, but someone that we sell to out of state, actually, in this circumstance, just a portion of their needs. We do have continued spending on critical infrastructure. The electricity business is a very capital-intensive operation, and supporting reliable service is, of course, a significant part of what we do. And then to have sufficient capital to rehabilitate and replace aging infrastructure or hydro generation assets, or some are 80-plus years old now, and so they certainly need work. And people ask me all the time, how long is a hydropower facility designed for? And I say 50 years when we're talking about an 80-year project. So, it's something that we constantly look at and make sure that we can have sufficient resources available to take care of those needs. Then looking at the next slide is talking about our decision that we've made to move forward with new generation, what we're calling Unit 4. We have Unit 1 and Unit 2 are the original coal units at our site there in Choteau at our Grand River Energy Center. Unit 1, the oldest coal unit, has been decommissioned. Unit 2 will be decommissioned at the completion of Unit 4. Our Unit 3, which you see a little bit of on the right side of the picture, is our combined cycle plant that was put in service in 2017. And then Unit 4 is this new gas unit. It's a simple cycle unit, and we are working with Black & Veatch, an engineering firm out of Kansas City, and we evaluated what was the lowest cost of energy of all the alternatives, and this is the option that made the most sense for us and was the least cost option, providing us with a lot of flexibility. This new Mitsubishi 501JAC, and that just means AC, means air-cooled turbine, will be one of the first in the United States to operate in the simple cycle mode. So just the jet engine piece of it that we're constructing. The other unit that we have, Unit 3, is the jet engine that spins a generator. Then you take the exhaust from that and run it through a steam cycle, and that turns another generator. So that's why they call it a combined cycle. This is a simple cycle. The attributes of that are primarily to provide quick response. So this unit will be able to be started in about 6 minutes from a cold state, compared to our coal units, that starting them from a cold state is about 16 hours. So it's a significant difference in being able to respond to the changes that are happening in the marketplace, and on a daily and actually on a minute-to-minute basis. These are quick start and ramp up and ramp down, very much like your accelerator on your car would do. So it's a very large, it's about a 460 megawatt unit, and it will lower our emissions and replace the aging coal unit. That coal unit was put in service in 1985. And this also has the capability to burn hydrogen, and we anticipate that it will be available and online in April of 2026. And that'll also allow us to reclaim the cold storage area that we have today. I'll just quickly mention one other thing. You know, we are replacing our last coal unit, which, you know, I wish we could keep it, because it's nice to have a unit that you can have the fuel on site, available and stored and ready to go. But with the market that we see today in the Southwest Power Pool that we all are participating in the state of Oklahoma and many other states in the area, the ability to have fast start, quick ramp capabilities is very important. As the sun changes, as the wind changes, you know, with all these variable resource generators that we talk about, which is wind and solar, having the ability to prop that up with gas that can move quickly is very important. And that is one of the main reasons why you know, we're moving forward with building this new unit. So looking at the objectives that we have for our rates in our cost of service study, you know, we're looking at making sure that we recover what's necessary to meet all of our expenses that we project for the future, but also have enough to set aside to prepare for these large capital needs as well. So we hired CH Guernsey to do this report. They looked at the imbalances that are between the rate classes, and that happens in any static state where, you know, your rate classes, you have to look at them separately, and as the market changes, you have to make sure that those stay in some sort of balance. And so we identified some of those structural imbalances and looked at those in determining our rates. Next slide, please. So what we did in terms of, you know, what was a guideline that was behind this, we wanted to move toward a more balanced cost of service structure. Maximum increase to any one class was set at 4%. And no rate reductions were given to any individual class. So only smaller increases and no decreases for any class. And the application of that is that those adjusted rates will be over a 3-year period beginning on October 1st of this year to achieve those targets. The classes were based on the cost of service methodology, and then we'll reassess this in 2026 and see where we are. We originally started out, you know, in a 5-year look, which is about the most reasonable look that you can have. I mean, we look out beyond that, but for planning purposes, that's the best timeline. And so we'll reassess that in 2026 after a 3-year period to make sure that we're still moving in the right direction. So as it relates to these are the classes of customers that GRDA has, and the highlighted line, the WP transmission, is the class that Claremore is in. All of our municipal customers are in different classes depending upon the needs that they have, but you all are one of the lower rates. And as you can see, there's a 4% projected rate increase for 24, 25, and 26. And that will, you know, be a cumulative rate increase of about 12.49% over the next several years. But the cost of service study indicated there should be more like a 17%. So we tried to trim that back and make some other adjustments so that to lessen the impact that you would see. Go ahead to the next slide. So again, what is the impact to the citizens here in Claremore? Rate increases applied to the base rate only, which only makes up about half of the monthly power bill. The other half of our bill to the city includes our fuel costs, and that is you know, dependent upon what natural gas prices and other costs in the market are on a month-to-month basis. The approved rate increase was approved in June, and then will increase the invoice amount, as you can see there, for, you know, about $2.4 8% in the month of June for the bill would be what you would anticipate to see. This has not happened yet because it's not taken effect yet, but we just took the June bill and said, okay, if we applied this 2.48% increase, that's what it would look like. The estimated impact to an average residential customer using about 1,500 kilowatt hours per month, it's about $2 per month in year one, and then you get the cumulative effect over the next couple of years with adding 4% each year. And then it's our understanding that that increase that we are passing along will be picked up in the your PCA or your fuel cost adjustment that you have on your bills. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. So we looked at what are some of the rate increases that we're seeing around us, and we looked at the investor-owned utilities and the rate increases that they have requested. Now, some of these are just requests that have been made of the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. They've not all been approved. But PSO has requested various rate changes over the last 5 years that, if approved, would increase the monthly bill of about $12 per month. Their average residential rate is a little over 12 cents a kilowatt hour. OG&E has requested rate changes over the last 5 years, which, if approved, would raise the bills about $25.81 per month. You see what they're about almost 13.5 cents a kilowatt hour for their average residential rate. So, comparatively speaking, we feel like this is well within line of what other utilities are doing. The cost of business is going up for everyone, and certainly, thank you at GRDA, we are trying to keep those costs down as low as possible. That's one of the hallmarks of public power, is to provide reliable and low-cost electricity and keeping that investment within the community. And that's why Claremore, having its own utility, keeps all of that investment here. People are sending their money to City Hall. They're not sending it to Ohio or some other place when they pay their bills. All right, go ahead to the next. So just looking at kind of a sample bill, and this is an actual bill that was provided from the end of May to end of June time frame. And there are various components of a bill, and I'm sure everyone in this room spends time looking at their bill every month and breaking down those individual components. But just to kind of talk about that for just a moment, particularly for the public, you have the consumer or the customer charge, which is the part of the bill that's for the maintenance and upkeep of the system. Even if you did not deliver 1 kilowatt hour of service to a customer, there is a portion of the system that has to be maintained and available to transmit that electricity, and that's what that customer charge helps to do. And it's usually a very consistent amount on a regular basis. And then there's the energy charge, and that's the actual amount of electricity that's consumed during the month, and that's from your meter data. That is the most flexible piece, depending upon the utilization. And that, of course, we know on a day like today, when it's over 100 degrees, are very high utilization times. And we've been off to a very warm start for the entire year this year with more what we call cooling degree days than what we normally see by this time of year. The power or the fuel cost adjustment is one that can flex on a month-to-month basis depending on what the cost of fuel is. And at GRDA, we set that on a monthly basis, so it's determined about 45 days before the beginning of the month. So, what we're seeing on our bills for August was set at the July meeting based on information we had mid-June. So it's about 45 days before, and that's based on a lot of data that we look at, weather trends, cost of natural gas and other components of that are factored in. And then, as it's on a rolling 12-month basis, so that's all adjusted as we go through the month. And then lastly, the demand charge. I know certainly, here in Claremore, that's a charge that only appears on commercial and industrial customers. And that's because there can be a significant amount of difference on a monthly basis between the amount of electricity that a business may use. And so you set a demand knowing that it's like a reservation, if you will, on the system for providing that amount of electricity to the customer. And so there's a value and a cost associated with that, and that's what the demand charge represents. Go ahead. So that is all of the formal presentation I had. I'm happy to answer any questions, or at least try, and if they're difficult, I'll defer them to some of our other people that are here. That's supposed to be a joke.
How are the classes determined? Like, you just kind of, it didn't really explain that.
So are you talking about the WP transmission class from our classes?
So ours would be 4%. How did you determine some of them don't have an increase, correct?
We had some classes, and that was based upon the study information that looked at, we have some retail customers. Our only retail customers are those in the industrial park and Pryor.
Okay.
Everything else we do is on a wholesale. So of the wholesale customers, there's several classes within that, and you can see, there's the WP distribution, WP, and that means wholesale, WP generate. If you could go back to this slide.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. If you could just explain the different classes, that would probably help me.
So these are the classes that the Grand River Dam Authority has, which will be different than the classes that you would have as a Claremore utility. But the LGS, our large general service, those are our retail customers, and the information indicated that they were paying more than their share of the costs, and that's why the lower part, the WP distribution showing a 14%, WP generation bus 5%, and then the WP transmission at 17%. That is the way to try to bring all of these into equalization. The WP OCA or other kind of specialized group of customers, but that is what the information from the cost of service study showed. Does that answer your question?
Kind of.
So that's why we limited those that have increases to 4% per year. It still doesn't get us quite to pure cost of service, but we wanted this to be a gradual process. And we also recognize that as growth occurs over the next 3 years in certain areas, new businesses come into the communities that you're seeing a lot of interest in, that helps grow out of some of these imbalances as we look at how that's distributed among all of our GRDA customers. And then, of course, you have to look at it on your own basis based upon the customer classes that you have.
I do have a question. On the WP transmission, are there other local municipalities that are included?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there are other, I don't have the list of them in front of me, but we have, about 19 municipal customers, and, that represents about 17% of the revenue in that area. So it's you can see that the WP distribution is at 14%, so it's roughly the same number of customers that we have that are wholesale.
I had a question.
Yes.
Just to make sure I understand. When I look at this, and I know you're nonprofit, so you try to get an average between the negatives and the positives in order to kind of come to a break even, correct? Am I understanding correctly?
That's right.
And then you also said that we're going to have a 4% over a 3-year period each year. but no one up there is getting a deduction.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's why you see, where you see the negative numbers, the 14% and 21%, you look across, it says zeros. They're receiving no change
Okay.
to theirs.
So
Which
what
makes
is,
sense, I guess.
what is the LGS trans? Which one is that?
The LGS transmission, that is, those are large general service. Those are our retail customers in the park that that take it at a transmission level.
And the bottom one, WP, what's that one again?
The WPOCA, that is outside control area, is what the OCA means, and that they're taking it. So those are normally out-of-state customers, but we only deliver it to the border, and they have the responsibility to take it from there.
That's one of the ones you mentioned that's going to be coming
Yes.
off. Right.
Or could be, as an example.
The ones in red are subsidizing the ones in black.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what the
That's what
information
balances out, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, we're trying to bring it back into balance. It's not going to be a perfect balance, but we felt like this was the most measured way to over a 3-year period to help. And then we'll reassess it in 2026 and look at what has to be done at that point. But it's an evolving process, and I know you all have gone through cost of service studies and looked at that, and it's something that you have to do on a regular basis.
And the first year, I think it said that the average monthly increase will be around $2
That's correct.
based on
But
15.
on the kilowatt use,
Yeah.
how much is our average Claremore citizen?
They're all
like-
kilowatts.
There's really no such
I mean,
thing
that
as
that was,
average.
I mean, there's, so you got to pick a number. That was my bill, and I used 2,800 kilowatt hours. The bill that he references is my bill, my personal home. I'm also on
You
the,
use
I
2,100.
would use 2,800 kilowatt
2,800.
hours.
Okay. So it would be more than,
Sure.
for sure.
You're still, what's OG&E's electrical, what, 13?
Yeah, the number that we quoted here was, I think, 12.4.
For Claremore?
No, I thought you said OG&E.
Yeah, OG&E's what?
Oh,
Just over
13.4.
Yeah, 13.4. And we're going to go
Peso is
from
12.
10 to,
Well, there's some things there. When you take an average bill, they factor in customer charge, kilowatt, there's a few other things. So when people get online and look at Claremore's average utility bill, it shows this 14 or 15 cents per kilowatt hour because they're also taking that customer charge and then the fuel cost and they're dividing that all out.
I'm just looking at the
Yeah,
kilowatt
so
per hour.
if you looked at, we're currently at 10.67 kilowatt hours. We hired Guernsey in 2018, apparently, prior to me. They spent a year looking at actual. So the last time that Claremore adjusted its energy rate was it took effect in 2020, and the rate went down. Despite what the conjecture is out there, the rate has not changed since then. The rate does not change on a whim. The rate does not change every month. The only thing that changes, the only variables associated with a customer's electric bill are how many kilowatt hours they use and that monthly fuel cost adjustment. Those are the only two variables that have changed in Claremore's electric.
And where does that fuel cost adjustment go?
That fuel cost adjustment goes back, when we get the bill from GRDA, we say, okay, what's the difference in what we charge, what they charged us? That fuel cost adjustment goes back to cover those costs by us and for them and into the market. There's not a profit, there's not a markup on fuel costs. The city of Claremore does not benefit in any way fiscally, other than we're just paying the bill that we were charged.
And the customer charges stay the same.
The customer charge that was the other difference. In 2020, the customer charge used to be 10 or 12 and it went up to 18. The price per kilowatt hour went from 11.11 cents down to 10.673. And again, that's the only thing that's changed. There has not been a rate increase in the city of Claremore since then, or any alteration to any cost per kilowatt hour on a rate at all.
Yeah, and so you have to think about it, what are the variable costs associated with running electricity services? Those are the ones that move on a monthly basis, but the fixed charges to maintain the system, to make sure that you have the delivery capability to get the electricity to your end user, those are the charges that tend to stay pretty much the same. And it's on these variable pieces that you'll see the difference, and that's how the fuel cost is.
And I think for the council to know, it's never been a secret. You see, 1906, this community built its entire economy on the selling of electricity. We sold electricity 30 years before we ever sold a drop of water. So there's no way to put the bullet back into the gun and rebuild unless without significant changes. That on top of the state of Oklahoma's very antiquated method of funding municipalities through sales tax only and whatever utility you sell. So
Even if you wanted to look at kilowatt hours, OG&E is at 13. PSO time of day rates are 18. Verdigris Valley's 9. We're 10. It's not.
Right.
We're not out of line.
And none of those IOUs or electric co-ops, and we're friends with all of them, none of them maintain streets, parks, pay for police, pay for fire, and all of the other things that come along with operating a city. And oh, by the way, communities that do utilize IOUs or investor-owned utilities get a significant chunk of money each year through a franchise fee. So while our neighbors in Owasso may not have a power distribution, every customer there is charged a straight pass-through from PSO, which is sent to the city quarterly in the form of a franchise fee.
Yeah, that 2% franchise fee, or 2.5 or 3, depending on what the deal is, that is tacked on at the very bottom of the customer bill. It's paid to the utility and turned right around and paid to the city. So it's not a gift from the utility in that circumstance to the city. It is something that the ratepayers are all on.
And Dan, is it accurate to say that whether it's a co-op, an IOU, or a public power, everyone is subject to a fuel cost or power cost factor?
That's right. And everyone treats it a little differently in how they calculate it. And that's why it's always difficult to measure apples to apples comparisons of utility bills, because of what bucket people put these different expenses in. But the fuel-related charges are something that are very, agnostic to whatever kind of utility you are. And gas prices are virtually the same for everyone. And that is a big driver in the electricity market, because all of the members of the Southwest Power Pool, this morning we bid into the power pool for tomorrow what our load is going to be and our resources to meet that load. We sell all of our load, or all of our generation, into the Southwest Power Pool, and we buy back from the Southwest Power Pool. So that helps spread the costs among all the utilities, but it also allows the most cost-efficient generation to be used to meet those needs. And that helps keep those fuel costs down. But fuel costs are directly related to natural gas. It's kind of the guide. It's not the only thing, it's just a piece, but that helps kind of set the stage, if you will, for what other fuels are used in the generation of electricity.
So when you explained it to me like this, when the ice storm happened and they needed a lot of extra because they were having to give out the electric, and it caused it to hike a lot, the price,
So
right?
your Winter Storm Uri,
Yes.
2021,
Yes.
yeah, there was significant adjustments in the market over a short period of time.
And
Some-
so
Some might call it price gouging by the natural gas producers, but.
So
there
we
were-
had to pay in to keep the Claremore from having, right?
So when it was all said and done, our cost of those additional unbudgeted fuel cost adjustments, our portion of the
So it's a-
GRDA customers is about $4 million. We did not pass that through to our customers. We didn't put a PCA X or
So it's a
PCA
fuel cost.
Extreme. We simply paid down about $1 million out of reserves, and we pay a monthly addition, and that is not reflected. The customers, our customers are not charged for that.
I get it, so I understand now, because it was the fuel cost that is is variable.
I think gas went from $2.90 a decatherm to $1,200 a decatherm overnight.
It was a significant change, and our GRDA cost for that storm of about 10 days was an additional almost $105 million just for that 10-day period. Over what would normally be expected. And that's why we call it our extraordinary cost for the storm. And we gave all of our customers, several options of how to pay for that. And Claremore took a very great approach in how they did that to help kind of control the cost. So we didn't provide a one-size-fits-all solution.
Because all the customers.
It was based on our use. I mean, it was based on what we actually used.
It was all proportional.
It wasn't just.
And then, but you also have to have a reserve to order to borrow
Right.
to get a good rate.
Right. And we used cash to get us through that. And, we were grateful to have the cash reserves on hand to be able to work through that without having to run out and borrow money at the last minute, which would have cost even more.
Because the rates would have been higher.
That's right. And that's why, we look at it as, and I'm not engaging any hyperbole here. I remember distinctively sitting in my home one night during the storm, and I got a call saying we have to buy gas at about $1,200 an MMBTU that we bought the week before at under $3. Thinking, who of our customers, your customers are going to have to pay for this? And, it was a terrible situation to be in, but it was more important to us at the time to keep the lights on, to try to save lives and make it more
Then us to go dark.
bearable. That's right.
To go dark.
Madam Mayor, if I may, while Dan is here and Mike and Shannon are back there, I had the opportunity to present to the GRDA board last month. I've kind of lost June, so maybe it was in June, maybe it was in July. I don't really remember, I believe. And relay our community's thanks to them for the mutual aid they referenced. Not only did they step up, Mike Shook, who's here, who ran a great public power community that's also a GRDA customer, took this job, I think, just a little less than a year ago. And he said, "What do you need?" And I said, "Look, I need somebody to help manage Todd on the mutual assistance. We've got to get other folks in here. He's out in the field." And Mike and his team took off with that. And I'll tell you, we have 13 communities, 129 guest linemen in here to go along with our amazing line crew. So I wanted to take the opportunity here at home to publicly thank GRDA, the board, Dan, you and your team. You guys were incredible. Their police force was involved, helping us in securing and making sure that our citizens were safe. They themselves had miles and miles of transmission line that they had to turn around and replace as well. Some right across 4170. It took a while, but we got it there. We got it open. And not only that, the benefit of that public power partnership. For the last 3 months, Stan, GRDA had a lull in their construction crews. You all know we have 2 major dirt projects going on. We're constructing the Lowry Road Detention Facility, as well as constructing a new firing and training range center up north on our Sequoia property. And for about the last 90 days, GRDA sent their crews here and have moved hundreds upon hundreds, if not millions of cubic yards of dirt for us. I can't even begin to quantify the value that we probably got $3+ million in labor, equipment, and fuel at no charge to us. And that's the value of a public power partnership. So thank you for that. Again, helping us save money in our projects here. And we just are very grateful to Dan and the team and the board. So thank you for coming this evening.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. We are very grateful to continue this long-lasting relationship with the city of Claremore. I believe it's been a very mutually beneficial relationship. It's those trying times when you find out who your friends are. And we always talk about the fact that we exist to serve our customers, not the other way around. And we certainly were grateful to have the opportunity to help in any way we could to help restore the power those are devastating situations for any community. We're thankful that the loss of life was as limited as it was. It was all tragic, but when you see these big storms come through and communities come together like Claremore did, it's a real testament to the Oklahoma spirit. So thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more question. I know this sounds silly, but like, have you had to make any cuts to anything to, because like, I know as everything's gone up, I know the citizens are gonna have, they have to make cuts. So I wondered if as a corporate, like,
So the
nonprofit.
The main driver for this rate increase was Bill Helmstead over here.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'll show them my best side. But the main driver for this increase was the $475 million. It's that we had to go borrow to build this new natural gas unit.
Okay.
So we have gone well over, this is the first rate increase since I've been at GRDA now almost 13 years. We've had a rate decrease.
No one remembers.
No one remembers. But we've not had a rate increase, a base rate increase like this. Now we've moved some things around to accommodate for making sure you've got costs in the right buckets. But we've tried to make sure that we operate in what we call our 5 E's of excellence. And that's, our employees, making sure that we take care of them, the environmental concerns that we have, providing electricity on a low-cost basis. And we also want to make sure that the ecological responsibilities that we have, but also we do it in an efficient manner. Because I want to be able to stand in front of you as our customers and say that we believe that we're operating in an efficient manner when we ask you to pay more for what you paid for something yesterday. And that's just the reality of the cost of doing business. I tell people that, I'll wrap this up.
No.
But, we are making 20-year decisions. The bonds that we sold are 20-year bonds. We're making 20-year decisions based on a 4-year election cycle of what our country is going to do in terms of energy and where we're headed. I still believe that the decision to retire the coal unit and replace it with a natural gas unit is the right decision for the market that we're in, not just for environmental concerns, but taking all of that together. That is the right decision to give the most flexibility, the most opportunity to take advantage of swings of prices in the market, because as we sell into the market, we're buying into the market. If we keep those costs down, everyone benefits from it.
Is the GRDA not going to have any more coal power distributions?
Not when this Unit 4 is commissioned. We expect it to be in May of 2026. So at that point, we will retire our remaining coal unit. And what we're doing is we're trading out and using the existing air permit that we have today for the coal unit and trading that out for the natural gas, which means a reduction in emissions.
Right.
But we're also trading out our interconnection rights on the transmission system to move that amount of electricity out of the facility. So we're swapping them out, which sped that process up.
Just increases your reliance on natural gas distribution.
It does.
As opposed to having a whole pile of coal that you can pull from at any time you need to.
It does. And one of the other issues that we've run into is we can no longer insure that coal unit, which put a lot of cost at risk in our ability to serve our customers. And that's why that was yet another reason why we needed to replace it. The fact that we have a coal unit, we have several insurance companies that won't even quote us.
Thank you for explaining everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, proclamation presentation.
Mayor, if you would step down in front for me, Sarah's got something for you. And if I could have my dear friend Giovanni Ngare come up here to the front. He's very surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Giovanni Ngare. We had the privilege of hiring Gio in our IT department a while back. He has since moved on to some greener pastures. He's working for a big company that has Alphabet in one of their names, has a big facility in the industrial park. But I want to thank the mayor for allowing me to do this, because not only Gio, but Caitlin, who is his wife, and those are his two beautiful children, McKenna and Emery, had the opportunity. Caitlin, when I was at the Economic Development Authority, was employed over there. And Caitlin just recently left us as well for an opportunity that's also phenomenal for their family. But they are still here local. We have access to their talent, and they've been amazing partners. But Gio is probably Claremore's newest American citizen. So,
Can we have his family come up?
would love for they can get some photos, but I'm going to read this on behalf of the mayor. She allowed me to do this. So, Giovanni Gio Ngare, born Ngare Kiboga Wahome on April 6, 1993, in Nairobi, Kenya, immigrated to the United States in 2016 to pursue higher education at Rogers State University. And whereas during his tenure at Rogers State University, Gio met his future wife, Caitlin, when they were paired together in a salsa dancing class. Although he did not initially recognize her, the interaction marked the beginning of a significant chapter in their lives. And whereas Gio and Caitlin have since established a beautiful family, including their two daughters, McKenna and Emery, and were honored with the RSU Inaugural Honorary Family Award in 2021, and whereas Gio has made substantial contributions to both Rogers State University and the Claremore community, and whereas Gio was officially naturalized as a United States citizen on July 10th, 2024. Now, therefore, Debbie Long, as mayor of the city of Claremore, does hereby extend her sincere congratulations and expresses her profound admiration for Giovanni Ngare's achievements and contributions to our community. Congratulations, Gio. Here you go, Mayor. You want to handle this?
Can somebody explain the plaque?
Oh,
Yeah.
please. Yeah. So Sarah Sharp had this amazing plaque made. Can you talk about it without crying?
Yeah, it's got the Kenyan flag and the American flag on both of it to represent both of his countries, and his last name on the front. All the staff at City Hall signed the back, so he can take it with him wherever he goes.
Well, thank you. Congratulations, my friend. Very happy for you. Go ahead. You want to get here?
Here, let's take another picture.
You want to come and get a photo? No.
Can you smile at Bailey?
Let's do that. Oh, how's that? She wants mama. I wouldn't want to be held by me either.
You hold her and I'll hold this up.
There we go.
Sorry. It's been a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Congratulations, my friend. I'm proud of you. Best of luck. There's that. And sorry to put you on the spot like that, Gia.
No, you're fine.
Something else.
She doesn't work here anymore. She's not giving any updates.
Always nice to
And I want to thank
that.
Sarah Sharp for putting all that
Beautiful,
together.
beautiful plaque. All right, item number 3, more economic development quarterly update. Maggie Roman 9.
See, Caitlin left, so now Maggie has to.
Well, good evening. As you all know, Claremore Economic Development does a quarterly update based on our coverage for our scope. And so, as John mentioned, we do have an opening that we are filling as Caitlin is exiting our workforce and talent, which is a critical piece of our operations. And so with that, We also have not had the opportunity, given all of the chaos that entered in May. We had kind of delayed this. Tim, I'll let you go to the next slide. The Claremore Regional Airport this fall or spring, we've kind of made some shifts. And so with regard to the tornado, I just wanted to take a moment before we do the airport update and share a public thank you to the Claremore Chamber of Commerce and Owasso Chamber of Commerce. Our teams ended up canvassing hundreds of business doors, trying to make sure they had access not only as employers but also as citizens or individuals that were impacted by the storms to make sure they know how to access resources and things of that sort. And then built an online portal and partnered with Claremore Chamber as well. That was kind of a central place for people to find information and learned a lot that, you know, if you don't have phone service or internet, then you probably can't access it. So ended up doing flyers and printouts and all kinds of things. But with that, also want to let the public know that this Friday will be the final day that the SBA, SBDC, and FEMA are in town. And so if you, your business, your home had any damage and you have not taken advantage of those resources, please visit them either online or at the Rogers County Health Department. Both of them are centrally located there, so I wanted to make sure people were aware of that. With that, Tim, we will flip and go to introducing Colby Linder. Colby, if you want to join me. Colby joined the Claremore Regional Airport as our operations manager this spring and has really jumped in, and so joined us with experience from both Stillwater as well as Tulsa. And so pulling him back over as the airport, as you all know, is in a stage of significant growth and kind of entering that phase 2 of its life. And so with that, we will let Colby do his first airport update for you all.
Thank you for the introduction, Maggie. So some fun things that have been happening, at least in my world, the airport world. It may not be super fun to you guys, but apron rehabilitation project. The apron is kind of where the aircraft park movement areas. To have a good apron is essential when it comes to airports. It's not like a public road. You don't want to have potholes. You don't want to have any of that stuff. It can do some serious damage to aircraft. So to be able to do a project of this size is huge for the airport. Constantly working on improving our infrastructure through different projects, whether that's runway, taxiways, hangar space. We work very closely with our engineers to see what we need to forecast for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road to make our airport be that much better than anybody else. So in this one, you kind of see there, they did a 2 to 3 inch mill, an overlay, full depth subgrade repairs, and underground drainage installation. All that means is it's a really good surface that the water can run off of, but it's very important to the aircraft whenever it comes to stuff like that.
And Colby, will you remind the council, was this a 95% match or a 90-10?
This was a 90-10.
90-10.
I
So
don't think we've got into any.
Claremore Economic Development and the city was 10%, and the FAA and OAC, which is the Oklahoma Aeronautical Commission, was the majority of the project.
Next one, please. So one that we are currently working on is our commercial hangar project. This is a large group hangar. It'll be 100 by 60. So quite a large hangar there that can store a lot of aircraft for our area. One of the biggest challenges in any airport right now is space. I get calls all the time, and I know colleagues that I work with, the number one phone call we get is, I need to store my airplane, do you have any space? Unfortunately, we all have mile-long lists of wait lists that people are just gunning at to get to. So for us to be able to capitalize on something this large is very, very good for our airport, in addition to a nice revenue generator to get somebody in there and get them kind of contributing to the airport monthly is a big one. In this project, we were also able to address some of our tenants' issues, which is some drainage issues. Currently, we have some hangars that are already on the field that the way that the land lays, they get a lot of flooding in their hangar. So with this, we were able to work with the contractor and get that drainage fixed while in addition to putting in this new hangar. So kind of knock out 2 birds with 1 stone there. So also really good for the airport. Makes our tenants really happy as well.
And the funding mix on this was also,
This was a 90-10 as well.
There's 150,000 match from the city, and then the rest was from FA and ODA.
and the total project cost.
1.4 million approximately.
Just want everyone to be fully aware. It's tough to walk away from $1.25 million for $150,000, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, FAA and ODA have been making great strides to help these airports fund stuff like that. So some fun stuff that has happened even since I've come on board here. In April, we were backdrop for a feature film. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it was called The Last Rodeo. Unfortunately,
I don't think it's dropped yet, so
they gave me full permission to release it. The only time that they told me to keep it hush-hush is before the event because they didn't want any media or anything. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't the greatest, but they got some really cool shots. They had originally had a big scope plan, 10 semis, the actors, the works. And it kind of amazed me. They were able to make it down to the crew you see there in one camera, and they're going to CGI everything else in, including the actor.
Wow.
But we had a gentleman come in from Skytook in his King airplane. Really pretty plane, and one of our tenants was nice enough to pose as the backdrop hanger for that project. So that'll be interesting to see what they used and didn't use. They were there total time for 2 or 3 hours and got lots of shots. So it'd be really cool to see our airport in a movie somewhere, even if it's just a quick snippet. We also hosted the Tulsa Air and Space Route 66 run, where we had 100 runners, give or take, that ran around the airport for, what was it, 5K? They had a 1K option and a 5K option. So kind of a neat place for runners to be able to run around our facility, see some airplanes, had some tenants, had their aircraft out for those runners to see. Really fun to be a part of with TASM there. But both of them, showcased our airport and everything that we have to show to anybody that's not in our community or even in our community. One of the things that I get a lot is I didn't even know Claremore had an airport, and that's one of my main goals is to change that and kind of get us on the map, and things like this really help do stuff like that. So, continuing on there, approximately 12,000 operations, which is pretty decent for general aviation. By general aviation, as you see in the picture there, that's our main type of plane. It's a small single-engine aircraft. We do get business jets from time to time, but our predominant main customer is just your regular Joe that goes out and flies in, something like that, and they come in all shapes and sizes. So to see 12,700 operations for 2023 is pretty good. A couple of exciting things that we put in that have helped our customers in the sense of a customer service aspect is a point-of-sale system that's allowed customers to access our fuel 24/7. So think of a gas station pump. These guys are able to pull up, fuel up at any time. If it's during our normal hours, we're out there to help assist them whenever we're on site. But to give them the opportunity to be able to do that 24/7 is a great value to that customer. Moving forward, we're constantly looking to improve our customer service. The point-of-sale system was a big one. We also just introduced a new point-of-sale system inside that has kind of streamlined a lot of the processes that were a little outdated as far as the customer service aspect on the inside of things when it comes to the FBO. And then we're looking at reviewing airport lease language, or airport lease agreements, hangar assignments, and trying to see what we can do to grow the airport. Looking at some land that we can use in addition to improving our safety practices and just trying to be the best customer service airport that we can. Because believe it or not, people will choose who they fly to based off of a good or bad experience. And so we're always striving to give that good experience, whether it's that person's first time through our airport or they've been there 100 times or they're just one of our tenants that is in a hangar right down from the FBO. We're same level of customer service, no matter who they are. Always wanting to put us in a good light when it comes to the airport community. So fuel sales. Let you guys kind of take a look there. So the difference is 100 low lead goes majoritively into small single engine aircraft. So like I said, that's our main driver. It is a little more costly, but that's how the wholesaler sells it to us. So we try to mark it up accordingly while trying to remain competitive amongst other airports to drive some business to us. Jet A is whenever you get into turbine engines. So that's your business jets, some helicopters. We get into the Jet A type of stuff. Those are really hit or miss. Avgas kind of tends to do its own thing. It's just pretty constant, and you kind of see that from the map there. Obviously, December, January, February, March timeframe, you get into the cold winter months. I think if you had a motorcycle, you're probably not going out riding that motorcycle. To a lot of guys, that's what these airplanes are when you get into avgas or 100 low lead. Jet A is really hit or miss. It could take one aircraft come in, and that aircraft could spike your number because you're talking about large differences of gallons sold. One aircraft can come in and sell 300 or 400 gallons of fuel in just that one stop. So it's really hit or miss, but trying to remain competitive in the market to try to attract some of that is where we've been. So we try to advertise our full service, which means we wheel the truck around, we give them the full 9, walk them into the FBO, you get them water, all that stuff, as a full service for what most of the airports in our area charge for a self-service, which means, pulling up to the pump, they're pumping their own fuel, type of thing. So we're trying to stand out that way to drive some business there. But all in all, we look really good. We are tweaking the way we price our fuel, constantly changing it, much like you see at gas stations. As we order fuel, their fuel prices change as well. So trying to account for drastic changes in something that we may not necessarily be able to control, such as the wholesaler maybe bought a high dollar load of fuel or a low dollar fuel. We don't want to do drastic changes in the sense of 30, 40, 50 cent changes. So trying to be proactive with that, creating good relationships with our wholesaler to know kind of what the market's doing. That way, whenever we do have a big price change, we're only changing 10, maybe 15 cents a gallon. And it's not a big hit to our customers, especially our regular tenants that see the prices daily. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Colby, how does the airport enhance our industrial development?
The airport is a huge driver. I always tell people it looks costly on paper, but you see the effect of the airport and the community just from the people it brings in, whether that be for meetings, for future business development. The only thing the airport's really going to get from that is fuel. Maybe the occasional concession stand, concession sell, car rental type of thing. But their impact is much greater on the back end as far as what they're actually doing in our town. Whether, like I said, whether that be creating business deals, attending meetings to, better the community. That's really where the airport impacts the city.
Thank you.
One thing I find interesting is people will literally fly 40 miles out of their way for a 5-cent difference per gallon in avgas, and I'm like, what did you burn up flying? They don't care. They love seeing that price.
Cost of fuel and customer service.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're doing a great job. Of course, CETA operates the airport, and they own the FBO and a couple of buildings out there. And Colby, you're in month 4?
Almost month 4.
Almost month 4. So he's been drinking out of a fire hose out there. So
It's been fun.
anyway.
Well,
Thank you, Colby. Amazing. Thank you.
thank you.
Staff report?
Just real quick, Madam Mayor, a couple of things. The Lowry Road detention pond that I mentioned earlier, we've been hauling material to. We will be done with all the rough cut stuff probably by the end of the week. So a lot of those monster invoices from Warren Cat, we can get those sent back to their yard and stop renting all that equipment. So there's a lot of concrete work ahead out there. The outfall structure was finished grading vegetation, so we're probably about 3 months out. And then our internal construction crew will shift back up to the Sequoia property and start working that big dirt job there. So hopefully we'll start seeing a little bit of a reduction in some of those costs, as well as get that much needed detention facility so we can mitigate some downstream issues that have been plaguing the community for probably 50 or 60 years. I already think GRDA update on debris removal are still in the first pass. As you know, the RFPs that we issued were for 3 passes through the community. They're still in the first pass. I know it seems like sometimes there's no rhyme or reason, but trust me, they have a system, they're monitored. The challenge that we're up against now is those truck drivers are contracted through the contractor that we have. They chase the dollar, so we've probably lost 3 or 4 because of what's going to hit landfall in Florida. They go where the money is, and so a lot of those independent truck drivers will walk out on a deal and go somewhere where they can get $15 a cubic yard as opposed to $7.25 a cubic yard. We still have a dozen or so rigs in the community. GC and Blue Lake are still doing everything. Our monitoring firm is pleased. So, but we're going to spend the next several weeks making those 3 passes. Remind everybody again that your vegetation has to be separated from your C&D, your construction debris materials. So if you have fencing, shingles, roofs, plywood, whatever, if you didn't have something drug off or a shed that blew over in the back, get it out to the side of the road, but keep it separate from your vegetation. They have to be counted and documented separately.
And away from any meters.
And away from any water meters, gas meters, and I've been told by both AT&T and Cox, away from any communication boxes. Because if that stuff's piled on top of that and they go to grabbing and it tears something out, you're going to be out of service there. I saw.
Get it closer to the curb, not in the middle.
Yeah, we can't go onto your property, so if we can reach it from the street, we're going to take it. That's how they're going to do it. So get it as close to the curb as you can. I drove by, came up Seminole the other day, and there was a great brush pile there, and the homeowners have thrown a couple of mattresses on top of it. They're not going to pick that up. So it's go tell them that they've got to separate that out. So that's what's going on with that. Maggie touched on something earlier with SBA. While the IA folks are leaving from FEMA, I think this week from the county health department, if you have not registered damage, regardless of whether you have insurance or not, you should still register your damage through FEMA. And if you feel like you've gotten a denial letter or something, it may not actually be a denial letter. It may be something requesting more information. The cutoff date is August the 14th, though. From our storm event, the way they classified that, if you do not register by August 14th, you're not eligible to register after that. So everybody watching, tell everybody, share it. If you say, well, I didn't register, I have insurance. I'll bet you had things that insurance didn't cover. You should at least register. FEMA also tells us, appeal, 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 which is amazing to me. I don't know why they just don't take care of you on the front end, but they say appeal, appeal, appeal. Those are your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen. You might as well go get them back because the federal government's going to spend them somewhere. They might as well spend them here in Claremore and Rogers County. But August 14th is the hard stop date for FEMA to register. And that is all of my communication.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Current business, do we have a motion to approve the consent items as printed?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion? Call the roll.
Feldman,
Yes.
Bowlby,
Yes.
Callender. It's not here. Vaughn,
Yes.
McSpadden,
Yes.
Irwin,
Yes.
Cotter. Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
That is the motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
All right, okay. Give me a second. Oh, motion to adjourn a second, call the roll.
Feldman,
Yes.
Cotter. Yes. Long,
Yes.
Bowlby,
Yes.
McSpadden.
Yes.
Irwin.
Yes. We're adjourned.